right, welcome everybody once again to the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. My name is Jonathon Howe. That is the Beef, Corby Daniels. We just did a little podcast of our own for the dirt beers side of things. Make sure you check that out if you're a fan of the World of Outlaws, late models, sprint cars, modifieds, super big block, super dirt car series, big block modifieds. I should clarify. That is where all that stuff lives now. Check out that podcast. Subscribe to that channel. And wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribe and like and engage and all that. And do the same thing for this show. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed on your favorite streaming platform for podcasts. Rate the show, review the show, like the episodes. All that engagement goes further into us doing this show more often and hopefully getting some sponsorship on board to cover some of the housekeeping bills that we've got for this program going forward. Beef, how was the racing weekend for you? I don't know. Did you guys end up at a racetrack, or did you end up helping out on anywhere this weekend, or did you have a weekend off?
We went to Oshweken Friday. Wasn't the best result, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I was doing a little bit of repair work on Monday, but Saturday we took off. We didn't race the mod, so just Friday for us.
Nice. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes that a little thinner schedule is not the worst thing to have. You mentioned Friday nights. Let's dive right into it. Let's get into the weekend that was at Ohsweken Speedway, where the Empire Super Sprints were the headlining class that night. And our pal Nicky Sheridan comes home a big-time winner. He started up front alongside Sean Donath, and it was a 25-lap feature. Donath got to the lead early. Sheridan fights back, a couple caution flags, one of which you were involved with. So break down that incident, which was lap 6, where you guys had to have your night end early.
Hard start. We were not the best in the heat race, which gained us not the best starting position in the feature. We started 17th, but lap 6 comes around. Glenn in the 0 car just gets in the corner a little too hard, spins her out. Mike's got nowhere to go. Wrecked a front axle, radius rods, axle tube. A little bit of damage to the top wing. We got that straightened out though, and wrecked a rim. But all in all, could have been a lot worse. But got that all repaired. And as far as the feature, I had to go back and actually rewatch on GeForce because I was running back to the trailer after the crash had happened, and I didn't get to see the rest of the feature. But happy to see our buddy Nick Sheridan get the win. Nick obviously end of last season was flying in the 45. This year gets out to the same start again. A little bit of a rough run there with the Outlaws, trying out some 410 racing, but straps the 360 back in and just shows that he's got the speed.
Yeah, and that's great to see, I think, for that team. And I mean, it's not even like, oh, he was uncompetitive in the 410. He was great in the 410, just the motor didn't quite hold up the way he needed it to really be a factor come feature time. Now, he had a great battle. Jordan Poirier was down there racing with the ESS as well. Both drivers raced 410s not that long ago. I want to say, this has got to be the first 360 race of the season at Oshweken because of the rainouts, I think, right?
Yep,
I'm not crazy in saying that, right? So it's been a bit of a disjointed season for that series and for the 360 cars in general, in terms of getting after it. So that was Sheridan's first full length 360 sprint car A main win at Oshweken. He did win a twin 150 or a twin 15, I should say, at the Northern Sprint Car Nationals weekend, but a little bit different when you have that full field of 35 cars attempting to win and make the show as part of the ESS stuff. So really just a great night for the 45. I was super happy for him. Then I kind of was waiting for this guy to get to victory lane and start making some noise. Brett Stratford gets it done in the Strickland's crate sprint cars. Again, you said I think you were probably prepping to get the race car out at this point, or I don't remember what the order of events was, but I don't know. Did you see much of this?
I did not see much of the feature at all. I just where we pit, I can see the scoreboard, and I was watching the scoreboard a little bit, and I seen that Brett won. Obviously, the 39 car has speed. He's had speed for a couple seasons now. But yeah, it was your normal what you thought was going to be on the pad was on the pad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I give a lot of love to Steve Murdoch on the show. I kind of have a lot of faith in him when it comes to being in the championship fight in the crates, and he comes home second. Jacob Dykstra ends up on the final step of the podium as well, finishing third. Logan Schwedek moved up from the what he was running Hoosier Stocks, well, Thunder
Yeah, I
Stocks
think.
at
Yeah, yeah.
Oshweken. And he ends up in the top five along with Holly Porter as well too. So all good stuff from the crate cars there.
Mhm.
The big dog, Ryan Beagle, gets the win in the Thunder Stocks on Friday night. And the mini stock race, that one went to, who was that here? Dusty DeBoer getting the
Mhm.
win there. So pretty standard stuff, I would say, in terms of the victory lane and kind of the support classes for that night. But a good night of action, and hopefully this is the kind of start of a string of events at Oshweken Speedway. Again, bit of a disjointed night or start to the season between weather. Those obviously 410 visits also kind of mess things up a little bit in terms of what we typically see from a Friday night schedule. But now we're really starting to get into the meat of the schedule as I've got it looking up over my shoulder here.
Mhm.
They were there 5 nights in June, 4 nights in June. So
Yep.
looking forward to that.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be great. It's also awesome to get back there with the sprint cars. So, yeah. But other than that, like you said, normal names you see at the top of the board at Oshweken.
No, it was no points though. I think for the season, right?
No,
Because it was
the
an ESS show.
yes, there's no normal season points, so that didn't affect us at least
Mm-hmm.
for the overall points championship for Oshweken, which was nice.
Nice, nice. That's good. All right, let's move on to Ransomville. We'll touch on the Sportsman, and the modifieds there. Sportsman Brett Senek gets the win over Cody McPherson, so you don't see all that often. Cody McPherson finishing second to
Hmm.
anybody, but Brett Senek had himself a nice little Friday night. Started second, got the win over Cody. In terms of some of the Canadians in action, Dan Ferguson started seventh, finished seventh. Nigel Pentecoski got himself a top 10 after starting in 12th as well. Matteo Panante was in the field. He moved forward from his 18th starting spot. A lot of New York guys for the most part. A lot of the locals that you would expect to see
Hmm.
in that particular event on Friday night in the Sportsman. So, but really great story great battle between McPherson and Senek getting the win in that one, getting the best of them. Now the modifieds, bit of a gong show. I have not had a chance to see the video of
I
it.
haven't
At the end of
either.
the day, we know that Matt Williamson gets the win ahead of
Hmm.
Ryan Susi. Chad Brockman finishes third. Dalton Slack, got to give him some dues. Got to give Dalton some love. Gets a nice top five after starting fifth. Moves forward one spot to finish fourth. Nelson Mason rounds out your top five. So a couple of our Canadian boys up in the top five in that one. Then Eric Rudolph, Noah Walker, Andrew Smith, Jesse Contras, and John Smith round out your field in the top 10, anyways, in that one. Gary Lindbergh had himself a bit of an evening, and that car ended up starting seventh, dropping back to 14th after finding himself in some trouble and messing around. So I guess he's got himself a little break from Ransomville, I hear,
And
based on some of the actions of that team after the fact and who was having conversations and stuff. So
yeah,
um, I don't know. I don't want to give a ton of love to the story. I don't want to pay a lot of attention to it. I don't love seeing this sort of stuff. I don't love seeing fights in pit road, and I don't love seeing some of the things that were alleged by competition that were involved in that whole lead up to that situation.
hmm,
It is what it is. At the end of the day, Gary Lindbergh's got himself a week off from Ransomville, it sounds like, and yeah, the modifieds otherwise were a good show and a lot of good showings for guys that we care about.
yeah, exactly. It's Ransomville Speedway always puts on a good show, and it was. I mean, it's hard to beat Matt at Ransomville. He's won so many championships. It's just he's always good there, and that CW6 crew puts together a good piece for him. So
Yeah.
hard to beat the six car.
Yeah, we talked to Stephen Petty a little bit about all that at the start of their season. I think there were one weekend when we had him on the show, so that's a great episode to go back and listen to if you kind of want the table set for what to expect from Ransomville and what exactly the kind of level of dominance that we see from Matt Williamson. I guess it is worth probably looking at the points for Ransomville this early into the season. I know they haven't had a ton of shows just yet, but I still think it's worth talking about. Cameron Tuttle sits atop their Sportsman division right now. Good for him. Brett Senek third. I think Brett is going to be the one that ends up winning that title, but Cameron, I think it's a good starting point for him to be where he's at, and hopefully he can build on that before Brett can kind of reel him in there. The modifieds, though, that's really the fun stuff to watch right now. Matt Williamson's got a 28-point lead on Susie, 34 points back to Chad Brockman. Gary Lindbergh is 42 back. Obviously, that's going to be affected by that suspension that's looming. And Noah Walker, he's 42 points back, tied with Lindbergh right now. Dalton Slack sits sixth in points, 46 back on Friday night action. Nelson Mason, another one of our guys, he's eighth in points, 66 points back right now.
Yeah, it's gonna just have to wait and see how it plays out the rest of the season. You know, maybe Matt has some misfortune later on in the season. Points get a little tight near the top, and we could be seeing a battle maybe for the championship.
That's what you want to see at the end of the day, right? That's the goal. Is we want to see a battle going into that final night, and hopefully it's some more than a few drivers are taking the fight to Matt for that particular win. Let's go to Saturday night action now. Let's start at the bottom here. We'll save the modifieds for last. I want to touch on Kenny Hare getting another win in the All-Star Concrete 4 cylinders over Ray Sorrenzia. That was a banger of a race. Got to give lots of love to the 4-cylinder division, both at Oshweken and at Merrittville Speedway. They have been putting on racing action that, like, it's. I don't want to say like full on. It's like Daytona or Talladega because that doesn't feel right. But the fact that they are 3x3, 4x4 at times, it's just pack racing. It's pack racing amongst the 4 cylinders, and I know it's weird, and they're a little bit slower than most of the race cars you see on any given Saturday or Friday night. But man, they're putting on a show, and you gotta love it. And you gotta love it when they can stay clean and green right from start to finish. Huge shout out to the way the 4 cylinders were able to race and drive this weekend at Merrittville, and the show they were able to put on. So weird to think about a pack as big as they are being right on top of each other at a dirt race.
Yeah, sometimes it is very cool to be able to see them guys run 4 or 3 wide, like for laps on laps right beside each other. It's definitely the cool part about 4-cylinder racing.
Yeah, for me, I think it just ends up being. It ends up being a little bit of a nice break or change up to the show. You're coming out of intermission. People are just getting back to their seats. They don't know what they're getting into. And there's little, Chevy Cobalts going by them and old Mustangs and all this sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, no, this is good stuff. What am I watching right now? This is awesome. So shout out again to the 4 cylinders. Put on a good show. Shout out to Kenny Hare. Picking up, I believe that is win number 2 on the season for Kenny. Now, moving along to the Hoosier Stocks, got to give some love to Rob Murray, who got back in victory lane. I know he had to miss at least one race weekend, was probably going to miss 2 or 3, but I think the weather and the rainouts helped him after he had a bit of a medical issue. But he is back in good health and back in victory lane. So shout out Rob Murray. Started 5th, got the win ahead of Kyle Pellryan, Mark Fawcett, Dave Bailey, and Jason Fontaine. I know Fontaine started a little further forward. He kind of got out to a pretty decent advantage early. And then Pellryan, Fawcett, Bailey all had to work their way by by Fontaine, and that stopped them from getting to Rob Murray, which another race that we're in clean and green too. So it was a chilly night. It was really cold on Saturday night. So the fact that the fields were able to run the shows as quick as they possibly did, that was really cool to see and awesome. So again, shout out for a clean race. We love to see that. Over in the Rona Deutsch Mod Lights Beef, it was Josh Slider getting back in victory lane. Goes 12th to 1st. Joe Isabel, one of our American invaders, he goes 13th to 2nd. RJ Pitts, Tyler Winger, Rob Meisner. I mean,
jeez.
Josh Slider, good stuff. A lot of heavy hitters towards the front. But Joe Isabel showed up the last couple of weekends, and man, that 6J looks scary fast, insanely fast. And I was asking Josh, I remember I talked to him in Victory Lane, and he was like, I asked him, I was like, well, how did you feel with Joe kind of bearing down on you and giving a pretty good chase at the end of that race? He's like, if Joe caught me and got around me, I don't know what else I was going to do, because my car was on a rail. I don't think I could have been any faster or better. And it certainly seemed like the Slider 17 car was hooked up in a good way. But ultimately, that was a fun little battle, and hopefully not the only Slider Isabel battle that we get all season. I think that is, I think Slider finished second to Isabel the last time. Now Isabel's finished second to Slider. Good stuff. And
Yeah.
once again, awesome to see a really full car count in the mod lights.
Yeah, for sure. They always put on a good show, and it's good to see. I know I've seen Joe race a lot. I've seen him come up here and race Mod Light a lot, and he's always been good. He's good down where he races normally at Fulton Speedway. So good to see that he's come up here and giving Josh a little bit of a run for his money, but also good to see Josh running well as well.
Yeah. Got to give some love to Brett Senek. Let's jump right to the Sportsman, which were the headlining event, as it was a Western Region Tour event for the Sportsman series. Brett Senek, though, sets a new track record in time hot laps, 15.777. It goes to, as far as we could tell, at least in the notes that our Statman Fran had kept, that Brett Senek sets the new Sportsman track record, which I believe was like a 15.98, or maybe it was not even a 15. It might have been a 16.1 or 16.0 something. I don't have the old record in front of me, but there was at least, I think, maybe 5 drivers that broke that previous track record. So it was a fast night early on a Saturday night for the Sportsman.
Wow, yeah, definitely. If you got the right conditions and the track is juiced up, it's always cool to see those track records get broke in person. It's something you can say like, "Hey, I was there when that happened," you know?
Yeah, and for you, like when you're working crew side of things, when you see those conditions, do you guys even start thinking about track records and that sort of stuff? Or do you get talked about? Does it get talked about, I guess, like maybe more in like a driver's meeting type of deal where it's like, hey, just so you know, guys, it's time hot laps. We got this cold air. We got this track that's really hooked up right now. Let's go out and have some fun and go set some pace.
Yeah, I personally, every team I've been on, it's never been talked about if the track's like that. It's just kind of, hey, we'll set the car up the way we think, and if you go out there and beat it, good. If you don't, just try to get as fast a lap as you possibly can.
Yeah, for sure. So in the actual race itself, we got a great duel between Senek and McPherson again. Cody starts on pole. Of course, his son drew the pole in the redraw trackside. And then Senek ended up drawing second. So the best 2 cars were at the front. Got to give some love to Matt Sharp. He held his own, going 4th to 3rd. Curtis Friesen with a great drive as well, 10th to 4th. Taylor Vanderzanden started 5th, finished 5th in the tour event. But kind of seemed like Brett had Cody for a hot second there. And then lap traffic, tale as old as time. Brett zigs when he should have zagged. Cody zagged instead of zigged and
That's
got
all it
around him.
takes.
Kind of inevitable.
Yeah,
so are we approaching bounty territory when it comes to McPherson?
I mean, that's up to the track. How many wins does he have?
Well, he's undefeated this year.
Okay.
So I guess rainouts have kind of helped out with that. So I think Cody's at, let me get the points up here. And that's the best way to see how many wins he's got on the season. So he's sitting at, what is this here? He's sitting at the top of the table with 4 wins and 4 starts to start the year. So, like, if he gets to what? Like, if he goes 7 for 7 with that number, maybe 7 for 7, that's the number. That's where we start thinking about putting some money up or something.
It'd be cool, but that also promotes just people driving like idiots, especially if there's a cash prize involved.
True.
That's where it gets dicey, you know, because I know guys that would probably take them out just to get that extra money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's funny. It's almost like you got to put like a stipulation on it. It's like, okay, you can have a bounty, but you gotta make the pass clean, and you gotta earn it. Now, I don't know. Things can happen. Mechanical issues can happen. You never know what's gonna happen. But
yeah,
the way Cody's rolling right now, it's just like, how does anybody beat him? Like, I don't know. We know it's doable. We saw it last year. Tyler got him twice, and Matteo Panante got him jumping in that Mallory car at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's doable, but you got to have almost everything go right and go your way. I think a clean and green run, checkered, green flag to checkered flag is great. No flags in between.
Yeah.
And I think, when the handicapping really starts to take over, because again, this was a redraw. I mean, you can't help the guy sending out his kid to draw a thing and he pulls the pole. Like, it's just the way it worked out, right? So
Yeah.
it was funny how that all played out. But man, that he's just so good at Merrittville, especially, man. It's impressive.
Hard to beat the 7.
Really is. Let's jump over to the modifieds and wrap up there. Emotional win for Freddie Carlton.
Yes.
I didn't have a chance to really ask him why the emotion or what felt special about it. But I mean, he got out of victory lane. My favorite was, so Freddie showed up to the racetrack. He had those Leafs panels on the side of the race car for a while. So those have gone now. Finally, that they're out of the playoffs, and he's just got blank panels on the race car. We asked him to put a little number on it, and I swear he puts like a red tape 96, like as small as my computer screen. It was not very visible at all. But I was like, all right, Freddie, we got you. He goes on and it wins it. Now gets out of the scales, drives directly across the go-kart track, across the grass, parks it facing on because he knows he has nothing on the side of the panel, so there's no point in parking it that way to take the photo. And the whole scene was just so Freddie, and it was so awesome, and I was so happy for him. He was really emotional when I talked to him in victory lane. I haven't had a chance to ask him what felt so much more special about this one, or was it just the fact he had to work so hard battling with Justin Sharp and holding off Justin Sharp for it? Was it the fact that it's been a little bit? I mean, was it the fact that maybe the speed hasn't been there to start the year, so you start having doubts about if you're ever going to win again? Like, there's so many things that it could have been for Freddie, and I just love to see the emotion, because it's just one of those things that, we don't think about these things mattering the same way that like a Daytona 500 or an Eldora Dream or any of these crown jewel events matter, but to our local guys, a win is a win is a win, and they're all special and they all mean something big.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's more or less what it is. The wins don't come as often for Freddie as they did maybe back when he was first started racing. But I think for a guy like that to go out there and win, and it probably just I mean, I've never had the feeling of winning a race. So for him, maybe it just got him in the feels, and he was a little emotional about it, but it was awesome to see Freddie win, and I know the pit area was probably just bumping after that one.
Oh yeah, that was a big victory lane photo. That there's a lot of folks who came out from the other side of the fence to come out and celebrate that one with him. So obviously the battle itself on the racetrack, the racing itself was great. I think we got another dandy of a modified feature, but there was, of course, something that kind of overshadowed that, Beef, and it was Todd Gordon going for one heck of a wild ride. And thanks to the Modified Racing channel, we have the onboard footage. You can see it up on YouTube, the Modified Racing channel. That is where you can search that if you want to get a good screen of it. I'm going to throw a little screen grab in here, and let's have a little breakdown of what was going on here. So I'll start with this one. Let's get this going here. Now, if I fire this, get the volume down on it. So we're looking at Beef. This is the start of the modified feature. We're on board with Todd Gordon. I think he started like 6th or 7th, maybe.
Yep.
He was up towards the front. Maybe, I guess he was on the inside. So probably 7th there.
There's the first incident of the night right there with Todd.
Yeah, so he gets into Scott.
And I mean, Scott came down a little bit, but I mean, for Todd at that point, if you want to back it up, Jonathan, I just want to take a look at it again so I explain what I'm looking at.
Yeah, so let's back it up to right there.
Yeah. So you're going to see Todd come in from the right-hand side of the screen, Scott. So notice how far out Scott is. So that's right front to left rear. There is... Okay, both these guys nice guys when they're not on the racetrack, no helmets on, all that. I want to preface with saying that I'm friends with everybody that races at Merrittville, and they're the nicest people. Todd would give you the shirt off his back. But when you're in a car, it's a whole different situation. I've never personally been in a car, but I've seen enough racing and just seeing the way these guys race more than enough to make somewhat of a judgment call on this. At this point, I'm going to say Scott has no idea. Well, not that he doesn't no idea, but he cannot physically see that Todd is still on the inside. At this point, I believe Scott in his head thinks, I've passed Todd. I'm going to shoot into the bottom here and try and get up underneath Gabori going into 3 and 4. So, on the flip side of that, though, Scott been racing a long time. Todd been racing a long time. Scott should be able to also sense or be able to maybe even hear that Todd is still somewhat on his inside. But at this point, Todd's right front is only maybe just past Scott's left rear. At this point, it's up to Todd to take his foot out of the gas and brake a little bit to avoid this contact, in my opinion.
See, I'm with you on that. I agree that if this was 2 to go, fine, all bets are off. I'm not lifting. But this is the opening lap, man. Like there is. I get 35 laps is not a lot of time, and you can't be giving up spots left, right, and center. But there's no reason that let's back this up one more time. That if you're Todd, like to me again, what do I know? I've sat behind a go-kart seat. I haven't sat behind a modified seat, but I'm already looking at this angle right here, and I'm like, okay, I'm alongside to the door panel. I have the right to the corner. Once we get to about here, like I feel like the smart play, you got to know to back out and live to fight another day, don't you?
That is my opinion. And as far as from what I've been told, if your front end is not either at the numbers or just a past the numbers on where normally numbers are placed on these modifieds, the guy on your outside or inside doesn't know you're there unless they can hear you. But it's also just like it's split second decision making and stuff like that. But in my opinion, I think here at this point, Todd should have backed it up a little bit, let Scott take the bottom, try again the next lap.
Yeah, and you live to fight another day instead of now. So they make contact. That's pretty heavy contact. Now I don't necessarily think that's caused any kind of damage. Like I'm not necessarily a mechanic, but like looking at this beef, it doesn't look like there's any kind of structural damage or anything like that, right?
No, it looks like the car's okay. So
yeah, so he's okay. Yeah. He lives to fight another day. He's gonna barrel it on down here into corner number 1. You can see Scott's wound up. I mean, him and the Mongrel leaning on each other. So I don't know what was under Scott's ass to start the race, but he was on it, which I can appreciate that. You see Daryl Fairway going by. Now I'm going to pause it right here. There's Brad Rouse to the inside. Now, I don't care who you are. This is not necessarily a personal thing against Todd by any means or anything like that. But I think what we're looking at is you get run down on like you did from Scott Wood there, you're automatically in a headspace that you're a little bit rattled, right? I think we'd all be rattled. We all want to be, towards the front of the field. I get it. So automatically I'm thinking, okay, Todd is a little bit probably heated with how that first lap goes. Yeah. And then he's got this battle going on with Brad. Brad kind of does a little bit of a clear up. I don't know if he was quite clear, but let's watch this again.
But this is also another situation where Brad did come from the bottom and to the middle, not all the way to the top, to the middle of the racetrack, which Todd was on the top going to shoot the middle. Again, this is another situation where Brad didn't know that Todd was all the way out there. He was not far enough ahead on the inside of Brad for him to be able to see or really even probably hear that Todd was there. So that's another situation. I know, like you just said, Todd's probably in his head. He's rattled up, just got whacked the lap of like the first lap. Now Brad's hit him a little bit. It's definitely a hard headspace to be in, but you got to be able to just, take your foot off the gas a little bit. Let Brad sail it in there like that, and then dive underneath him going into 1. and be clear enough that you can run up beside him and pull him down the backstretch. But obviously, that's not what happens.
No, not exactly. And then one more thing that I would say too with this whole situation of like, learning to fight again down the line, right? We've seen now, to be fair, I would say in the last couple weeks it's been a little bit better, but the modifieds have been kind of chaotic to start the season. A lot can happen in 35 laps, and a lot of guys can fall out over 35 laps. And to finish first, you must first finish. To have a great finish in general, you got to be there at the end. So it's another one of those things that if I'm a young driver and I'm watching this clip, or if I'm somebody who is working with a young driver, I'm watching this clip and being like, look, all these things are gonna rattle you. Like right here, when Brad's coming across and Todd's already shooting the middle, like you say, Brad's pretty confident that he has clear up. He doesn't necessarily know. It's almost insane they don't hook Nerf bars like right here, right? Like it almost feels like the bumpers probably should have got hooked together there. And but yeah, you want to live to fight again, right? So all right, let's let the rest of this play out.
Okay.
And we're flying through the air, and that's not so good.
Yeah.
That was a scary one. Now, from the tower, I think at this particular point, I think I saw Brad clear up, and I was like, oh, that's pretty, it was a pretty gutsy clear there, self-clear early in the race, whatever. And then I focused back on, like, the lead. So all of this I missed in the moment, and I started watching about there.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, we got cars flying through the air. That is not something you see. The race director screaming red, 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 all that sort of stuff. Hard lick. At the end of the day, really glad that Todd was okay.
Yeah, obviously.
That is the main concern. I, for one, was a little bit nervous, I would say, for how that was all going to play out. It looked like a really hard hit, and that's not fun. That's not easy to deal with or see all the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see. Let's watch Todd from the back angle here one more time before I kind of come back to this 40-second mark. Let me go past this. We'll watch a little bit of the start of the race from here. So you can see Scott up on the top side, right? Yep. There's Daryl behind him. There's Brad, right? I love this camera shot, by the way. This is fantastic stuff. This is a great camera angle.
This is gonna be where he gets into Scott right there.
Yep.
Gets bottomed up.
Like, if I go back here a little bit, Beef, you can see, like, pretty much everybody's bracing for impact, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're giving a lot of space. Like, you can see Daryl kind of backs up and stays out. Yeah. He misses the corner, basically, to avoid anything.
Yeah.
Brad's round up around the outside. Daryl's there.
Yeah. So here, Todd goes to the top. Brad shoots the bottom.
Yep.
So, Brad, the rates still haven't touched. They're racing side by side. This is where Todd runs the top. Brad comes up across the middle. Here's the touch. Right there.
And we're flying through the air.
Yeah.
So now let me go back to that, like, kind of 40-second mark here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is probably the thing that has caused the most drama and the debate. You know, Froggy, to his credit, kind of jokingly said that I think the caption of the video, or this then down in the comment section, it said something about, oh, it must have been a suspension failure or something.
I'm gonna say that is no suspension failure.
I don't really think so. Just for laughs, let's see. Let's go to the drone shot here. I'm gonna change up the screen sharing here. We'll go to the drone shot. We'll break it down one more time from the aerial footage after the onboard. Yep. This is from the start of the race. This is courtesy Joe Obertine and his drone cam here at Merrittville. So we got good stuff. Everybody rolling here. This is good stuff. Nice clean starts. Green's out. Also very weird to see, because the modifieds weren't the headlining feature. I don't know the last time I watched a modified feature start in sunlight.
Yeah. So there's the contact with Scott.
Yep. You can see them all kind of jam up there, right?
Yep. So here, Brad's going to shoot the middle between Fairway and Todd. Try at least.
Falls in line behind Daryl.
Daryl, yeah. Gets up underneath Todd here. Comes across and, like, from that angle,
There's no shot Brad knew he was there.
He's there. Yeah, it's Todd's duty to take his foot out of the gas a little bit or jab the brakes and just fall back in behind Brad and get down in the corner. Like here, he's set up pretty good. If he can just follow Brad through that line, leave the bottom lane open for I'm not sure who that is on the inside there, but follow Brad through this corner and try and get him back either down the straightaway or going into 3 and 4 again.
Yeah, and so the thing I wanted to watch from this camera angle is how much does Brad have to get out of the gas here? Because you can see right now between Brad and between, I think that's Daryl in front of him there, there is a half car length. There's not a major amount of space, but there's enough space that Brad can kind of maybe jump on the binders from my understanding and not have to slam on him or anything like that to avoid incident, right? Yeah. But because that was the other thing I thought initially too, was like, oh, maybe did Brad, I think that's the way we called it at first, because I don't think we realized that Todd had any kind of emotion towards Brad, if there was any emotion at all. Well, however it was, I'm not going to put words into anybody's mouth or how it all went down. But at first from the booth, it almost looked like, I think the consensus was that, oh, Brad had to lift to avoid somebody and Todd didn't expect him to lift. And then that's kind of what we thought initially happened. And really, it kind of just looks like what happened was Todd forced the issue. I'm going to back it up one more time here. I'm sure we're going to get a zoomed-in replay here. But I want to see... So there's Todd, there's Brad, right? And then I think that's Luke Carlton that's on the bottom. So it kind of... At first, I thought maybe Todd got a little help from Luke. And I'm hoping maybe the rest of this video footage, when we get the zoom in... Maybe that'll show if there was any kind of contact here. Doesn't look like it.
No.
Right?
No.
I think Luke got away from that pretty clean.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say there's no touch there from the 26 car. So
yeah,
I think it's just it's just a case of Todd just not keeping us cool and trying to just get him back racing. And I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody gets over their head sometimes. So, but yeah, that's my opinion on it. And obviously, like I said before, I got no problem with anybody at Merrittville Speedway. Todd's a great guy. Gave his shirt off his back. Same with Brad. Everybody. I'm friends with everybody and talk to everybody on a pretty regular basis. So. It's just a shitty deal the way it went down, but yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I'm not far off with you after having seen that onboard footage, and that's that takeaway. You know, it's a shame. At the end of the day, the biggest thing for me was that I'm just glad that Todd got out of that race car, was okay at the end of the day. I'm sure he probably felt sore for a couple days afterwards or whatever.
Yeah.
A real shame that beautiful paint scheme ripped up, that Scott Bloomquist tribute, which we did touch on this in the Dirt Beers podcast. I mean, the Bloomquist family, a little controlling, a little bit of a Teresa Earnhardt vibe about the whole likeness of anything to do with Scott Bloomquist. So he might have had to, he might have got one of those old cease and desist letters in the mail if anybody from that camp was watching Scott or watching Todd honor Scott with that paint scheme. So
yeah.
But yeah, that was a modified thing, and again, I don't want to say like like for me, like I don't want that to overshadow what was a really good race. Like you can skip forward 7, 8, 9 minutes in this video, and you're gonna get some great modified racing action at the front of the field. Like I'm just skipping ahead now and just looking ahead, and there's a great battle between Sharpie and Carlton, and Justin Sharp did get by Carlton at one point, got the lead back. Carlton had to fight back for it. You could tell, the emotions were one thing, but you could even tell that Freddie worked for that one. That was a hard fought win. So I want to just wrap up the podcast here, Beef, with talking a little bit about the point situation over at Merrittville. Let's run through some of them. We'll get a full breakdown of the other ones to come here, but let's start with the 4 cylinders. Alex Riley back on top, 2 points over Kenny Hare. Well, of course, those two find themselves back at the top of the title fight after they were the ones battling neck and neck for the points championship right down the final race last year. Mason Anderson right there as well. Got to give Mason some credit. He's 6 points back. Hannah Rothwell, 42 back. Randy Allway, our guy, joined us at Motorama for a surprise guest appearance. He's 62 points back, having himself a pretty quiet but stellar start to the year. Speaking of quiet, also, I want to give a huge shout out to Dave Winninger. 91 points back in sixth place right now. He has been a quiet, consistent threat in that series, and I would not be surprised if Dave steals one of those 4-cylinder wins at any point, especially if we get like a Mustang style racetrack at some point. Over in the Hoosier Stocks, Mark Fawcett actually leads Dave Bailey by 4 points right now in that battle. Jason Fontaine's right there in it, 12 points back. Kyle Pellerine, 18 points back. Rob Murray obviously missed a couple races. He's 48 points back. So really, I think there's a good battle shaping up between Fawcett, Bailey, Fontaine, and Pellerine. They're all right there. They're all right on top of each other at every race. So good stuff from the Hoosier Stocks.
Yeah, for sure. It's the names you think to see at the front of that points battle, and we'll see if Mark can hang on to her for the season. But that 49 is always coming.
Yeah, Big Dog kind of taking it to him over at Oshweken. Now you got Mark Fawcett trying to take it to him at Merrittville. Mark can get a couple wins here over the next couple weeks or over the summer months. That would go a long way to making sure that Bailey gets shut out of a track title this year, which is not something that has happened, at least not in my memory, over the last couple of years.
No.
So over in the Rona Deutsch Mod Lights, Josh Leiter up 18 points on Tyler Winger. RJ Pitts 25 back, 27 back to Iftati, 43 back to Brent Bigelow. I was really high on Brent Bigelow to start the year, and our guy, our past guest, Dan Curving, did a lot to hype up that situation in that race car, and it just hasn't quite come together yet. But summertime is a perfect time for Brent Bigelow to heat up and really close that gap to Josh Slater at the top of the standings. Now, who else we got to talk about here? The Sportsman. Cody McPherson obviously at the top of the standings, but it's a pretty fun fight behind him, all right? So Matt Sharp is second in points, 54 points back. Then Van der Zandt is 10 points back of him. Pentecoski's tied with Van der Zandt in points. Boyd McTavish is only 6 points back of those two. Jacob Chevalier is only another 4 points back. 2 points back of that is Brett Senek. Noah Mamo right there in the top 10. Like the top 10, the battle from second to 10th in the standings in the Sportsman is separated by less than 50 points. That's kind of fun. That's a lot of fun. Yeah. Something to watch besides the Cody dominance.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully some people can catch up to Cody a little bit and maybe try and give him a little bit of run for his money, but we'll have to see what happens.
Now, the Modifieds, they've had 6 different winners in 6 features, which has gone a long way to keeping that points battle tight. At the top, Gary Lindbergh is up right now. His 4 top 5s top the series right now in terms of consistency. That's a big reason why he is where he's at in the points. Pete Bignell is second, 8 points back with 3 top 5s on the year. No wins yet for Pete, but if he gets to victory lane, watch out. That could really mix things up here. Justin Sharp, who did win a race, he is 14 points back of Gary. Shane Pierce sits 4th in points. I know he didn't have the weekend he wanted this past weekend, and that kind of mixed things up for him. But, that's recoverable for sure. James Friesen sits there in 5th in points. And then your guy Mike Bowman takes a weekend off, and he's still 6th in points. Freddie has not closed up on him too much yet. So Freddie Nelson and Daryl Fairway are ones to watch to probably pass Mike next whenever he ends up skipping another feature down the line here. But Beef, the Modified show, do we get 7 for 7? Should we get this race in this weekend, which we're supposed to? It looks like the weekend's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. It's hard, man, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's just say, let me give you some names that have not won a race yet, and you tell me who's most likely to get the win this weekend. P. Bignell.
I don't think so.
Nelson Mason.
I don't think so.
Daryl Fairway. Scott Wood.
No.
Brad Rouse.
Yeah.
You think Brad's the one to watch, for the next one to get to victory lane who hasn't won yet?
I think Brad comes back strong this weekend.
Very possible, but I really think you're sleeping on Daryl Fairway. Don't forget, he almost won that 40-lap feature. If his motor hangs on, that race was his for the taking. He got out in front of that field, and he looked pretty stout, so I would say Daryl Fairway is one to watch for who could be the next new winner on the season if we should get to 7 for 7 in the Modifieds. Beef, let's put a pin in it there. This week on the Dirt Beers podcast, no guest, but we got into a whole bunch of topics. What do you want to talk? What do you want to tell the listeners about the Dirt Beers podcast that'll drop tomorrow from when this episode is out?
Yeah, we got into a bunch of different stuff about things going on, high limit stuff going on. Aaron Reitzel's big win in Pennsylvania. Got into a little preview for the Dream at Eldora this weekend. Did a little bit of a ladder style pick between me and you, and we'll see if maybe one of our guys can come out on top. And took a couple follower questions and answered them on the podcast. But yeah, check it out, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all our social media platforms.
Yeah, check out the Dirt Beers brand across social media and the Dirt Beers podcast on YouTube and on Spotify and all the places that you can get a podcast. Same goes for this year's show, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten so far. I do have some stickers still available if you want to buy one and support the show. I would appreciate that. You can send us a DM. We haven't launched the Sticker Star program yet this year. Maybe we will over the summertime. I haven't decided yet. It kind of comes down to how much time I've got to work on some of these things going forward. So we'll see what we get to. Beef, it's been a blast, and it really feels like now we're through May, June, and July ahead of us. Nice weather, hopefully, ahead of us. We are in the thick of racing season, and it's going to be a busy few weekends, I think, for everybody in Southern Ontario who's a dirt fan. So appreciate everybody checking out the shows. Check out your local tracks. Make sure you go and visit the pits afterwards and talk to drivers. I will say that it's family autograph night this weekend for Merrittville Speedway. So there you go. There's a great opportunity to get some autographs and get up close and personal with your favorite race cars and favorite drivers on a Saturday night at the racetrack. Shameless plug. So with that said, you can check out the Dirt Beers, like I say. You can check out Sod Spot on socials. Rate, review, interact. Tell us we're idiots. Tell us we're smart. If you like the video breakdown like that, let us know your thoughts on that whole deal. Hey, and anything else that you need to know, you can always get in touch with us at SODS_POD is where you can track everything to do with the show online. Beef, let's wrap it up there. Everybody enjoy the racing weekend. We'll talk to you next week.